Good morning, everybody. This is Did I Fix That? And today we're going to be installing a couple of can lights. The style that we're using today, these we actually picked up at Lowe's. These are the Canless style. And these are LED, so they don't operate as high temp as a normal incandescent. And also, a little less space has to be utilized up above the ceiling. So these are very good for low profile or tight applications. And they're also selectable as far as the hue of light that you have. So as far as tools that we'll need for this, we're going to need a ladder to get up high enough so that we can work on it. We need a voltage tester or multimeter, a pen, a Dremel, and this is used for cutting out the drywall. You could do it by hand with just a knife. You could use an actual drywall cutter, can light cutter. I have one at home, but I'm traveling right now. I don't have it with me. So this is going to generate a little bit of mess. And also some wire cutters and a screwdriver. So the first thing we did was we took down the light fixture and removed it. And this particular light fixture, this is what's left of it here. This is an old fluorescent style, and it was held in with a couple of these toggle bolts or butterfly bolts. Just unscrewed them all the way out, and fixture came down real easily. Now what we need to do is make sure that the power is off. You can do one of two things: turn it off at the switch, which is probably not recommended. The other way to do it is kill it at the circuit breaker or fuse box. But we're going to take a look at this multimeter real quick. This is like any other multimeter or electric meter. It has various scales on here. DCV is direct current, that's like for a car battery, and ACV is alternating current, and that's going to be used for your house. So set it to the right scale, which is 200 volts. So we click it on there, displays 0 right now. Then we're going to jump up here on the ladder, and I'm just going to test the voltage here and see what we have. And we'll touch 2 wires, and I don't know if you can see that, but it should say 0, and we show 0. So that means that our circuit is not energized. So at this point, I went ahead and before the video started, went ahead and made a little scribe circle there using the template. And now we're going to use our Dremel. We're going to cut this on, and be careful with this bit. This is hanging out a good bit, so we're going to be careful with it. But we're going to go ahead and stick that up in there. Nothing's around there. Just make sure there's no wires that you're going to hit or anything like that. And we're going to start cutting this drywall. So make a bit of a mess. Just following the line around. I gotta get that. Okay. Now we'll just grab our fixture. Got it off right now, right? Alright, now that we've got our hole cut out for our light fixture, what we're going to do is we're going to take our light fixture and we're going to pop off the metal cover that comes with it. You just kind of pull that back. That comes off like that. Here's our wiring connectors. They're a push style, which is nice, makes it real convenient. So now, next thing we have to do is grab our screwdriver, put it in this thing, take out what's called the knockout. So we're going to take this knockout out. It's just a little cap, if you will. And the reason that has to come out is that's where we put our wire in. Alright, so now that we have that out, now we're going to grab our wire. And I made a little nick in the insulation right there. It's kind of hard to see. A little tiny nick. So that'll help me separate that and peel it back. I just use a regular knife. Any old knife will work. Peel that insulation back a little bit. There we go. Now we can expose the wires that we have. We have a neutral, which will be the white, the hot, which is the black, and the ground or common copper. So I'm going to cut off my excess insulation here and my excess paper. Bam, done. All right, now these wire cutters have this wire, that I'm using is what's called a 14-2. 14-2. This was, I think, $7 or $8 for 15 feet. Not expensive. These wire cutters have various numbers that correspond to the gauge of the wire. You just find the gauge of the wire you're using. We're using a 14 gauge. Go down to that and give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Put them on there, twist, pull straight off. Do that on both of them. I can get to it. Get a little shorter on that one. There, pull off. Bam, done. All right, so now grab my wires, push them together so it'll make it a little bit easier to go through the hole. Go through. Now we're in the junction box, so to speak, here. Okay. It's plug and play at this point. So we have black is good to go to black, and they literally push straight in. Push in, give them a little tug, it's locked in. Do the same thing with the white. Gonna push straight in. That's it. And our other one, bare copper, will go to this yellow one. And get that to go in there. Whoop. It's hard to see without any light on, huh? And there. That's in too. So that we kind of jam that down in there. We're gonna I'm gonna take out the other knockout so I can put my main power in. And the reason I put these in was so I can pull the power from my existing wires and shoot it down to my other light fixture. So turn off right now. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is grab my circuit wires, run them through the second knockout here, and make the connections like we did earlier, you know. So kind of run those through. Flip that up a little bit, there we go. And after you make those connections, like we said, we want to give them a little tug just to make sure that everything's working. So it's just like it was with the other one, black to black. Now that one's in, white to white. Just plug and play, just that simple. That's in, and then our last one, just the copper one, will end up going to the yellow. And now what I also did was I went ahead and cut myself the wire length that I need, 3 feet or so. Now, just for giggles, we'll test it and make sure that we're doing okay. Hit the switch, and bam, it works.
Ooh, that's right.
Don't touch this end over here, you're going to get shocked. So we'll turn it back off, and we're going to measure off where we want our second light fixture in and cut out another hole. So we'll tune back in just a second. Okay, so as we did it earlier in the video, we talked about putting in this second section of wire that came out, and that was only because we were going to do 2 lights. So we cut our second hole, and one thing I'd caution you about when you're cutting your holes, make sure there's nothing up above there. There's no pipes or plumbing that you're going to get into and make a huge mess when you're doing this. So on this one, we went ahead and took out our other knockout plug, and it's the same style. What we're going to do is we're going to snake that wire up and around, go through, and make our connections just like we did on the other one. So we'll do that real quick. Just going to reach up here, run that through, and this is super easy because it's so close. You can just use your hands. Other ways you'd use what's called a fish tape, and that's a flexible fiberglass rod to run electrical connections or wiring, I should say, through. Push that through, just like we did on the other ones, and it's the same thing, man. Just doing the little push and play, kind of plug and play kind of little deals here. That push in, straight in, give it a little tug, we're good to go. Let's do door. We're going to jam all our wires down inside, and this closes up the junction box. That's just hinge right there, goes in, and we push down. That's it. We'll throw a toggle, or throw the switch on here, make sure they both work. They do. Now these do have selectables here as far as the color that you want, and I don't know if it'll show up on video. It goes from yellow to blue almost. And I think Grandma and Grandpa like the 4000 the best. Okay, so okay, and to conclude this project, what we need to do is go ahead and install these lights. And they have a couple of just spring type latches to hold it down. So we'll go ahead and kind of flip them upwards, get them up inside the hole. There's one that's in. And we'll flip this one all the way up so it's 180 degrees, and bam. Then we'll do the same thing down here. That one in like that. That one up. And that should just pop up in there. And that's it. So if you guys would, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to grow the channel, have some new content out for you. And did I fix that? Oh, heck yeah, I did. Thanks again.